I think we need to talk about today the difference between traditional abdominal and core exercises and how they're different from the hypopressive method. For being in the fitness industry for over 20 years, there's been a lot of changes. I think we need to start to evolve again and change a little bit more our way of thinking about how we train the core. Years ago, a lot of us were taught that the core was made up of primarily the abdominals, and that the best way to work our core was to train it to give a lot of force and power. And we did a lot of work in the gym doing abdominal crunches and planks, and I don't know about you, but after having my two kids who are now 13 and 8, I did a lot of ab work. I loved doing abs. I wanted my abs to be nice and flat all day. And in fact, I wanted it so badly that when I found out that we had this abdominal corset, I really pulled my belly button in all day so I would maintain this nice flat abs. And I kind of became hyper aware of my posture. So I would look like a professional trainer with a flat stomach and a good posture, and was voluntarily contracting my abs all day. And same with a lot of these exercises we are doing in the gym with the abdominal crunches and planks, etc. There's a lot of voluntary contracting and pulling in the belly button and training it for force. But we kind of forgot to take a look at what our core unit is made up of and what its primary function is. And our core is made up far more than just the abdominals. It's also made up of the diaphragm and the pelvic floor and the back. And what the hypopressive method taught me was that this core is supposed to work as a unit to balance and counterbalance our daily activities and our sports, but that we're really actually supposed to rely on its involuntary resting tone. We're not supposed to voluntarily be contracting these muscles all the time and working them for so much power and force. And really what happens when we are working our core in such a way and we're tightening and tightening, and you can picture like a tube of toothpaste, if we keep tightening and tightening these abdominals, and if we have a weak link that tends to be our pelvic floor, we're going to suffer injury to our pelvic floor, and we're going to cause pelvic floor dysfunction, either incontinence or prolapse. If our weak link happens to be in through our abdominal area, we can increase our chances of abdominal hernia or vertebral hernia. And our posture kind of gets all skewed from all this tightening and pulling in. And it's just not natural for us to be walking around all day with contracted abs and back. So what I learned was this awesome new method that causes an involuntary reflex contraction of the core as a unit. And it causes an involuntary contraction of the abdominals and the pelvic floor while decreasing pressure instead of increasing pressure, and creates more balance, but also causes the core to be trained as a unit so it can function as a unit. So if I was to give you an example of the traditional exercise or core abdominal bracing, where we're pulling our abs in all day and are doing these abdominal crunches, where our abs are hard and we're increasing pressure, you can just feel what happens by pulling the belly button in, versus the hypopressive exercise that's done in specific postures and poses to decrease pressure. And you inhale, exhale, this was an involuntary response. You can't train the core like that by voluntarily pulling in the stomach. You don't get that kind of response. So what the hypopressive method does is it trains the involuntary resting tone of the core, the abdominals and the pelvic floor, and the back while relaxing the diaphragm. So you're left with abs that have a natural resting tone, improved posture, improved breathing, improved sports performance, a decreased waistline, and a toned pelvic floor. A variety of benefits that also have the core functioning as a unit. So it can balance and counterbalance all these activities that we do throughout the day and our sports.